Well, good morning. Sorry, I wanted to say my apologies to begin with if I'm a little congested or coughing. Excuse me, I got two small girls at the house, and the youngest one is learning how to share colds. So, unfortunately, I've got it. I'm Sergeant First Class Matthew Macroberts. I work at the Office of Chief Public Affairs at the Pentagon. I'm the NCOIC of the Digital Media Division, and what that means is we run the Army social media accounts, the flagship accounts. We run and operate Army.mil. We work hand in hand with Defense Media Agency. There's some phenomenal staff there that help with production of videos and other products that we put out. We do training. We do best practices, coordinate with the field for monthly teleconferences, work with industry for everything social media related. So, that being said, one of the biggest things that we're dealing with right now are imposters. Imposters are a really big issue for the Army as well as, I'm sure, the other services. So what we'll talk about today is a little bit about the social media operating environment. What is a social media imposter and why are they doing it? Trends and scopes, how big is this problem? It's probably going to be, for some people, just that confirmation. For other people, it might be a bit of a shock. Why is this a public affairs issue? How can you advise your commander or soldiers or other individuals that are coming to you as a public affairs professional with a social media imposter problem? Some of the platform responses and techniques that you can use, and what we're doing for mitigation. So the operational environment, as you can see, it's pretty big. We've got over 7 billion people on the planet. Of that, almost half are on social media. It is a huge number. Now, the one thing that I want to point out that's going to come up later is the fastest growing regions for internet use. Africa is one of the largest. I mean, they've had a 7,000% increase since 2000. And it'll make sense in a little bit, partly why. But when you look at your social media analytics and who's engaging on your posts, I'm willing to bet that you're probably going to see something that mirrors some of this. And that's something to keep in mind as we talk about imposters. So we deal with a couple different types of imposters at the Army level. We deal with the stolen valor, which is really not so much of our concern because it's pretty obvious. And I got to tell you what, our audience is fairly ruthless. When people get on there and they're being, it's pretty obvious that these guys are fakes. Not guys, but these men and women are fakes. And our audience tears them apart. Then we've got the misinformation, disinformation group that we like to talk about, which is really not our lane as public affairs. That's, IO and some other different, offices that specifically deal with, government organizations or other groups that are running information campaigns against individuals. So what we're going to talk about today mostly is the scams. And that are the people that are looking to get something personally by imitating a soldier or a leader. And it is scary how efficient they've become. So the trends and scope, how big is the problem? According to statistics, 83 million Facebook accounts are fake. 83 million. That doesn't necessarily mean that those 83 million are imposter accounts. That's just 83 million accounts that are not real. It's not a real person managing it. Of that, 1.3 million are accounts with ill intent. The other balance of them are actually accounts that are created, especially for businesses. Businesses pay for followers. So there are people out there creating accounts that turn around and sell them to businesses and say, I have 5,000 followers ready today to follow your account. So that's part of the problem. There's 20 million fake Twitter users, and like I said, businesses pay for fans. If you look at a business account, statistically 1 in 10 is an imposter, is a fake account. It's something they've paid for. It's not a real person. It's just to boost their numbers. It's a multi-million-dollar industry. Think about that. What does that mean? That means there's resources to put into it. There's tools created specifically for this industry. I don't know if you can read it, but there's, I pulled a couple, this is just as of last week, General Curris, Kadavi, apparently he's a really popular guy. Just a quick search pulled up 6 easy imposter accounts. I mean, I literally just opened up Facebook and found these. I was looking online. I'm not going to say the person's name, but it is a public affairs soldier. He has been fighting, and this is soldier, not a key leader. He's been fighting this for 4 years approximately. He's got picture after picture after picture of imposter accounts that women are sending him on a weekly basis. Why haven't you talked to me? I sent you the money you asked for. And he has to send back the email. I'm sorry, I am not the person that you think I am. That was somebody else scamming you out of money. And they get irate, they get angry, they threaten them. And he's just doing his job as a public affairs professional, and he got sucked into this. He's had his personal account closed on Facebook. And when he contacted Facebook, the initial response was, I'm sorry, we don't comment on closed accounts. And it was an uphill battle for him to have his personal account turned back on. He eventually did, but that's what we face. Now, you imagine as a public affairs and you're working for a general or a division, corps, installation, and your account gets closed, people start to freak out. So it's important that we keep a proactive, it is something you have to do. You have to set a time for every day to look at. These are the trends. Since 2014 to 2016, we have killed just our office. And that's about 4 of us have killed, at this point, it's over 10,000 accounts. And that's just 22 senior leaders. And we really dial into the senior folks for the direct support. 10,000 accounts, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. If you're talking imposter management, you are talking a full-time job for a person every day if you are really, really, really serious about doing this. And it's all you'll do. So there's certain things that we keep alluding to that we need to make sure that we're doing. Why is this a PAO problem? Well, for the Army, it is a direct damage to Army reputation. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It doesn't matter if it's a real, whether, you know what I'm saying? Is it just somebody saying bad things? Is it somebody scamming money out of people? They call us and say, how come you can't help me get this money back? The lady in Wisconsin, Iowa, we literally had somebody from England contact us. She had sent her life savings to a person claiming to be a key leader in the Army. I'm talking high 5 digits. Check. She sent her wedding certificate that said she was married to him. She sent all this documentation, and our response was, we are really sorry this has happened to you. Unfortunately, this is not the general. This was a person, imposter, claiming to be him. And, unfortunately, he took advantage of you. She couldn't grasp why this was not our responsibility. And it was a serious education challenge for us to really explain to her in a delicate manner, without offending, without, saying, sorry. So it's a damage to reputation, and it goes back to our obligation to educate and inform. As public affairs officials, we have to educate our leaders, our soldiers, and as the public on what it is that's going on, how are we fighting it, what are we doing, and why are we doing it. You start balancing those two things with educating the internal and the external audiences, and it starts to have an effect. And it's a constant rhythm that you have to talk about. Again, thousands of accounts across the different platforms. Global social media use is expected to grow by 4 million users during the next 3 years. This is a problem that will only continue to grow. People are making money at it, they're being successful at it, and there's very little prosecution because most of it is occurring outside of U.S. jurisdiction, so there is nothing that people can do. There's nothing that law enforcement can do. There's very little that once the money has been sent that the individual can do to get it back. That starts to be a problem, a really big problem. First thing we get from commanders, and we get this a lot at our level, what do we do? My commander wants to know, what do we do? This is a problem. For somebody that has never really been in the spotlight before, let's say, it's a colonel, at a battalion, brigade level, they're going out, they're deploying, they've been in the news, the unit's social media page is becoming more and more followed, more and more comments being made on it. He's now got an imposter. To the individual, the world is ending. Somebody is impersonating me, it's impacting my family. What the heck's going on? The first thing is that we need to be talking about it proactively with our leadership is that, look, as our page popularity grows, as you are enmeshed in the public's view because you're being put into the news, your visibility increases. You become a target for social media imposters. We have to start doing proactive education. We have to make sure that our accounts are verified. We have to make sure that that your accounts you minimize the exposure. Who can see what? You lock down the account so only your friends see what you post. Only your friends or family can have access to your account. We are still surprised how many people have public accounts. Organization owns the reporting. When you look at all the different platforms, they understand that this is a problem. They understand that this is an issue, and they are actively working to fix the problem. But the reporting is on the organization. It's our responsibility as service members, civilians, everybody's responsibility to proactively report the accounts. You can't assume that the public will do it. You can't assume that the platforms are going to be doing it. You have to perform regular searches, alerts with Google and other tools, using Google image searches. Look for those telltale signs and proactively report the different accounts on the different platforms. You have to be able to advise your commander that there's realistic considerations that you need to take into account. The work resource process. Like I said, if you're actively going to do this, it's a one-person job, full-time, all day, 5 days a week. What's more important? Yes, we have to do this, but we have to balance. The volume of work required to address. Again, that goes back to getting on social media, digging around the different accounts, being a detective, finding the accounts, knowing where to report them, how to report them. Work intensive. We stress that this is not, while it is a public affairs problem, it is not just for public affairs to resolve or address. It is best taken as a team effort. The PAO owns part of this, the XO, the AIDS. Everybody has a responsibility in this. If you share the load, then you can effectively manage this. And that's part of the education, that you don't have to wait for public affairs to report it. You can self-report. You can get the XO, the first sergeant, the sergeant major, one of the shops in your office to help do the legwork and identify and even report. And this is unlikely that it will ever go away. Like I said, 7,000% increase in Africa. It's kind of the joke, everybody say that email scam, from Nigeria. It's true. They are group efforts. This is an organized, coordinated, intent-driven effort to scam. Remember we talked about the $1 million industry for business? What that means is that they have bots that create the accounts by the hundreds. It's not a person sitting at a keyboard typing and creating accounts. They take they got a folder of photographs, they got a name, they go to a software that's loaded on their computer, and they hit return, and 500 accounts are generated. That's all they have to do. So, in the reporting process, it is important to understand the terms of service, because Twitter, we had this problem the other day. Everybody knows about the alt accounts that are standing up. It's kind of started to die down in the news a little bit, but you have all the different alt accounts. There was a Twitter account that stood up and used alt U.S. Army, and they were saying some very negative things, inappropriate, social media, goes along in the lines with what we're seeing, on the testimony on Capitol Hill on appropriate online conduct. I initially reported them as an imposter account because the way they had it worded, and in my opinion, it was borderline on them being an imposter. Twitter came back and said, no, it's a parody account. They can absolutely have this. I had to go back and say, okay, you say it's a parody account, but you know what? They're using the Army Star, which is a trademark logo, without our consent. We want it taken down. They finally, after a few emails back and forth, they finally said, you know what, you're right. They sent them a cease and desist message. The account failed to take down the Star. Twitter then, after some more emails back and forth with our insistence, actually closed the account. So it's part of it is understanding the terms of service. So when you get no for an answer, if it really is a blatant violation of an imposter, that if you get no for an answer, to keep digging and find that nugget where you can get them on it and then force the hand and have them do something. Use the platform-specific reporting tools. They've loaded up a PDF that we send out to the Army that, in my opinion, it's a great tool to have just by your desk side. It has the how to report on every platform, either internally or if they have an external reporting system, how to do that. Because a lot of times you may not have an account, but there's an imposter account on that platform. So how does somebody report it if they don't have a Twitter account or they don't have a Facebook account? Where do you go to report it? You want to be able to explain how the imposter violates the terms of service, because a lot of these require that you send in a written statement. You want to quote the terms of service. You want to provide screenshots of the actual account. You want to provide the URL, and you want to demonstrate in no way, shape, or form how this violates their terms of service. You want to relate it back to the platform. And then the platform is going to make the determination of what is an imposter account, not the Army. We get a lot of people that call us, and they're like, hey, we've reported this account 4 times, 5 times now. They still haven't taken it down. We want you to call this platform and make them take it down. Well, we can try, but the reality is we don't control that. We can't call Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Flickr, Google and say, turn this off, and they're going to listen. That's why it's so important to understand the terms of service. The solution, again, this comes back to public education. You should have, in our opinion, we run a regular campaign where we pull from CID for the Army assets out there, and I couldn't see why anybody else couldn't use it too, especially the information they're putting out. They have PDFs that relate to Facebook, Instagram, Flickr, general social media, internet, current trends and scams that they know and are working with the FBI on. It's all free chicken to use. They have that. So develop a plan to educate your audiences on your account. Provide a tool, provide information, provide a resource for your audience to fall back on. And that is important to provide updated information. A lot of times the reporting tools change, how you report them, where you report them. Platforms change all the time. We have to stay on top of that. Addressing imposter discussions on accounts. Have a pre-approved list of responses. We have, and I know their intent's good, but for a while, and it started to die down a little bit, we had the Scam Haters United on Facebook. And I would say probably half the posts to our page was this individual that was just flooding the feed with screenshots of this person's an imposter with fake scammer written all across it. And essentially they were spamming our account with imposter message. Again, that comes back to, brand management, how we look. If everything on our Facebook feed is people saying all these people are imposters, how does that make us look? So we developed some pre-approved responses where we actually reached out to these individuals and said, hey, we really appreciate you looking out for the public and our soldiers that are being taken advantage of. But posting it here doesn't solve the problem. If you've identified this person as a scammer, please report it here. This is how you can do it on Facebook. This is how you can do it to the FBI. This is where it's appropriate to put this, because otherwise, and we just bluntly told them, you're creating an environment where we can't tell the good things that the Army's doing. And we appreciate what you do, but there's a better way that we can resolve this. And we started to see a lot of that die down. Provide the list of resources and schedule regular proactive messaging. Enable self-aid. Educate leadership. We're supposed to, as public affairs, provide training to the field. Put imposter management as part of that public affairs training. It's not just how to be a spokesperson. It's not just how to stay in your lane with dealing with the media. It's talking about imposter management. It's talking about crisis communications. It's about educating the field that anyone can report it. I get, like I said, calls all the time. Hey, somebody's, been an imposter. I provide them the information. I provide them the tool that I gave, for the conference here, so that they can help themselves. And then we tell them, if you still have problems, reach out to us. We can help them. And again, it goes back to sharing the responsibility with the staff, so that one person's not responsible for it and overburdened, overworked, as well as what happens when that person leaves. Then that knowledge base leaves with them. So this is a little bit of the how to report an imposter. Facebook put out with us that it was okay to share their email for government. Again, do not spread this everywhere wide. Keep this within your PAO shops. But if you're having a problem with Facebook, you can reach out to the gov@fb.com and you can say, look, we've reported this account, it's not getting taken down, so on and so forth. They will assist you. There's a hidden high priority reporting portal for government officials. Use that email. They will get you added to it. Instead of reporting through the regular Facebook account, they provide you access to a portal where you can literally just copy the URLs of the imposter accounts to Facebook, paste it into the portal, quick summary of who you are and why you're reporting, you hit send, they address it instead of having to go through the normal reporting process. That is, again, for the high profile accounts. This is right now the only account that we really have that high priority reporting rights on. So we really take that seriously and we appreciate what they do for us. Again, it's something that anybody that manages a leader's or an account, an organizational account, can take advantage of. Twitter has a public use reporting tool, government specific reporting address, and the ability to elevate to the government rep. Google, Google+, YouTube, it's just a generic email for the government rep, and the ability, we also have a training with industry rep that we can sometimes reach out to, but we try to keep that to a minimum, as well as LinkedIn, Skype, Flickr. Dating sites, that's been a hard one for us to crack. I don't know how many of you have gotten a lot of reports. This is one of the ways they do it. They open up one of the bot farm Facebook accounts. They use that Facebook account to create a dating site account as their confirmed, persona. And so then they're operating behind that wall on these dating sites. And then you don't have access to that information unless you have what? Unless you have an account on a dating site. I'm married. It's really hard to explain to my wife why I have an account on a dating site. But if you do again, this goes back to how much work does it take? I've had to reach out and call the lawyers and the public affairs offices in New York City for some of these dating sites and explain to them that people are using your site to steal money from people. It's bad optics. It's bad optics for you. It's bad optics for us. It's in your best interest to work with us. Can we please have a point of contact in order to work with you? So if you're experiencing some of that, just don't Goes back to not taking no for an answer. Do a little digging, find out if you can get a point of contact, and explain why it's important to work together. So, last slide is, these are the points of contact in our office. We are a purple environment. We work with the Coast Guard, the Air Force, the Marines, everybody. We have a monthly meeting that we sit down with. If anybody ever needs assistance, please call us. Let us know. Shoot us an email. We want to help. We hope that you've taken the steps proactively. You'd be surprised how many people from battalion level call the Army at the Pentagon and go, hey, we need help. And we're like, okay, what have you done to resolve this? And they're like, just crickets on the other end of the phone. And it amazes us that you'll call the Pentagon before you've done anything to by yourself. But Major LaMountain will be there not too much longer. She's getting ready to PCS. Mr. O'Brien is our new deputy director. He comes from TRADOC. He is a rock star. He'll be there for a while. I'm going to be PCSing fairly soon. And then we've got Mr. Torek Daniel, who just joined the team. So the longevity is the civilians on the right. There'll be new people coming in on the left. But we are all here, willing to answer questions, willing to provide knowledge, points of contact, especially for folks that are struggling with imposters. Any questions? None? Wow, okay. Thank you for your time. I look forward, I'm sure we'll be getting some calls, and thank you for attending today.